obviously has blown the doors off of MMA, come in here in a short time, become a world champion.
'Cause everyone's an outlaw until it's time to do outlaw shit.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Outlaw Logic. We've got an amazing fight this weekend coming up. Our main event is Pereira versus the long-awaited return for Yuri. We got that in our main event this weekend on Saturday night. And we also have a co-main fight that's really interesting. You got Aspinall and Pavlovich fighting each other in the co-main. Interesting clash of styles on both fights here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into this thing. We're gonna break this down. We're gonna talk about our main event and our co-main. Continue to like, share, and subscribe. Give us your comments. Let us know what you're thinking. And we appreciate all your support. And let's rock and roll. All right, guys, so in our main event, we have Yuri versus the left hook monster, Pereira. Interesting fight. I think the thing here is you have Pereira, who has such a decorated kickboxing career, obviously has blown the doors off of MMA, come in here in a short time, become a world champion, found some adversity, but also found ways to overcome it in the octagon, which is not easy to do as you're growing up in the MMA, on the MMA stage. You've got Yuri, who has been out for at least a year, maybe longer, with an injury. You've got his long-awaited return. Everyone wants to see his funky style and what he could present inside that octagon, especially against someone like Pereira, who you know, I know, he knows, everybody knows that Pereira is going to hit you or want to hit you with the left hook. So the question is, can Yuri's unorthodox style negate Pereira's one bomb, one weapon that he can use? And I'm not saying he doesn't have other stuff, but the one thing that's going to put you out is going to be his left hook. Pereira does do a good job of agitating you with his calf kick, especially off his right side. And you've got Yuri, who's going to bounce around, do some crazy stuff, but has been shown actually in his past to be very hittable. He cannot be very hittable when that thunderous left hook comes from Pereira. That's the bottom line. That's the kiss of death. That's something that if he gets caught with, it's going to be lights out and it's going to be over. JK and I were talking earlier, when Yuri has fought in his past fights, he has been hit and or hurt in his fights leading up to that injury in every single one of those. And against Glover, who's older than Pereira, was getting beat pretty badly and had a spectacular comeback. So to his credit, he found a way to stay in there, be gritty, and come back. But you got to remember, Glover is training Pereira. So the experience of Glover being in there with him, the experience of Glover just in general, and then Pereira's experience, I think the deck is stacking in their favor because of a lot of reasons there. Glover can go in there and say, hey, this is what it felt like to be in there with him for 5 rounds. This is what it felt like when I was finding my moments. This is what it felt like when I was losing my moments. And I think some of that is massive, especially as you have someone coming up like that with the tutelage of Glover and him being his student and him listening and learning. And I think that's part of the reason why you've seen Pereira's success in there so fast is because he's found someone he trusts and he's able to go in there and utilize the MMA game that he has. On Yuri's side, the questions are, can his unorthodox style be a surprise to Pereira, and can it do something in the sense of catch him? Or if Pereira catches him but doesn't finish him, can he outlast Pereira like he did Pereira's teacher in Glover? Can he do the same thing? I don't think that's a fight anyone wants to repeat, including Yuri. No one wants to be in that kind of fight. It's cool to know that you have it in your heart and in your soul to be able to do that. But Yuri, I think at all costs wants to avoid that. So the unorthodox style, can he work away from the left hook and or not be so hittable like what we're talking about? I would say, based on what we've seen in the past, no. I think his style is his style. He gets hit, he absorbs it. He doesn't. He comes back. He doesn't. The thing is that's just who he is. Has he changed that a bunch? I don't know. I mean, I would say time. The question, I think, the biggest question for Yuri is time. He's had time off. So you get in that time off when you can't be physically training, you start thinking a little bit. That might be an advantage to him. That could be something that he has used in his advantage. Say, hey, coaching staff, I want to get better at this. Maybe my defense needs to be better. Maybe I want to still stay creative in there. But what are ways that we can shore some of this up? That might have happened. And if that happened, then kudos to him. I think we'll see that shine in the cage on Saturday. But I would say, knowing Yuri, the little I know about him, what I've seen, he's going to kind of come out and look very similar to what he's looked like. And so Pereira needs to put pressure on him, find a way to funnel him to his left, find ways to get him to get off balance, and then, kiss him with that left hook. Yuri, he needs to make him miss. He needs to tire Pereira down. He needs to get an opportunity to find a clean shot on him and potentially use his creativity and unorthodox approach to win a fight. If he wins that fight, I think it's more of that 4 or 5 round style fight where Yuri would win. It's at any point in the fight that Pereira can win. So fun matchup, fun way to get there. Pereira using his low calf kick, I think, is massive especially in the switching sense, because then you want to allow some of that creativity to get going. And I think some of Yuri's straight ahead strikes, because of the round left hook coming, would be an advantage for Yuri to really key in on, is to find stuff down the middle, especially off of like a right hand cover if he was in an orthodox stance, and then find some middle strikes to find and negate a round strike. Straight's going to beat round. So I think if he was able to employ a win, he's going to find something down the middle. Pereira probably finds something off the round, meaning the calf kick or the left hook. And those are the two paths that these guys can win. If you're asking me, gun to head, who's winning this fight, it's hard to say, not knowing what Yuri looks like because of the time off. But like I said, I think it's going to look very similar. So I'm going to give it to Pereira with pressure, persistence, and patience, and then that left hook power that he'll find. All right, so in the co-main event, you have Aspinall versus Pavlovich. You've got a clash of style here. You've got Pavlovich being a huge presence. I think he's about 6'5". He's absolutely going to come in at the minimum of 265, but he's probably going to walk in that cage easily in the 80s. You've got Aspinall, who has shown in the past that he can grapple. He can absolutely grapple. He can get guys on the ground. Question is, can he out-grapple that monster in Pavlovich with his speed and his power? For a big guy, Pavlovich has a lot of speed. And for anybody in the heavyweight division, there's always going to be power. So they're both going to be able to pack that punch. But Aspinall, I think the best way for him to win is to take away some of his speed and power and grapple him. Take some of that energy bar away from him and constantly just grind on that energy bar, especially given the fact that we got 5 rounds here. I think the key to Aspinall winning is the first 2 rounds. If he does a good job of clinching, cage wrestling, putting him on the mat, making him get up and down, doing it again, and just being a nuisance that way, some of the speed and power that is Pavlovich's strength, it will be absolutely negated. If he can't and it stays in a striking affair and you let Pavlovich find his efficiency and his striking, his motion, his takedown defense, then I think you see him tee him up at some point, put him off on an angle, catch him coming in on a desperate shot, and putting his lights out. So Pavlovich, his game plan has to be use your speed and your athleticism, but don't throw things at 100%. I think if he throws things at 100%, he's actually losing some of his qualities, which are the speed that he possesses for a heavyweight. So throw things at 70, throw things at 70%, attack the base of his neck. Don't throw things at his nose. You throw it at his nose, he's gonna be able to get under it or graze off the top of his head. I think if he has an opportunity to essentially stay in his stance, punch downhill, quote unquote, and work that way, that he will negate some of that closeness or mid-range that Aspinall wants to have. Aspinall has to be able to draw something out of Pavlovich, especially with his speed power, make him commit, make his feet commit so that he can get to the body. He has to be able to get to a clinching position or a wrestling position, but he can't do that when Pavlovich is having his way with his striking, his angles, his speed, and his power. He's got to set his feet. And so, potential ways are to create a high guard. Aspinall could create a high guard with his striking, which give from the elbows down a target to him, and then he's able to grab that stuff, wrestle, body lock, cage wrestle, all those things that I had mentioned earlier would be a benefit to him. Speed power versus grinder style that's going to have to find his way into a mid to short range. This is a tough one. I think it's a clash of styles, and with that, I'm gonna say the presence of Pavlovich, his size and his speed power, I think are going to negate what Aspinall will have to do to win this fight. So I'm going to go with Pavlovich on this one. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Outlaw Logic. We appreciate your support. Continue to like, share, and subscribe, like we said. Hey, your comments are absolutely valid to us. Let us know what you think here. Give us some ideas if you're wanting other content. Don't forget, we have a library of stuff on the YouTube page, YouTube channel already. So go on there, check out that library. Some of the footage you'll be seeing ran in the background of some of this is from some of that training. You can go back into our recent episode just released. You can go check some of that out. So we appreciate you. Thank you again for tuning in, and let's enjoy our fight this weekend.
I live, loved, and died